Hello everyone and welcome to URL Division 1 Round 11 of Season 3 at Mexico here. I will be your commentator Lollipop or Tom, and yeah, this is my first time commentating, so if I'm a bit below average, that's your reason. Here we have our first contestant or driver out on track, and it's IFR_Jensen, who is the leader of the championship. He is 7 points ahead of second place, who is URL Tesla. Yeah, he looks like he had a scrappy part of the season with 3 DNFs in the first 4 races. So yeah, let's hope he can change that around, even though it seems that he has, because he's leading the championship. A lot of drivers are now out on track. There seems to be a bit of a race going on here between the Mercedes of URL Harry and the Haas there. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3 currently. I'm assuming it's just someone's going slowly as they're preparing for their qualifying laps, and I believe it's the Haas ahead. And here we see Jensen on his first flying lap of the session. Quite heavy braking going into turn 1, hits the apex nicely. Hits all 3 of the apexes quite nicely, and now presses the throttle hard going down the straight. You want to brake late here into this second corner. Don't go too wide for the second part, which he hasn't, and he'll get good traction for this entire section. He's using the track very well in that Williams of his. And I think he is going to set a pretty competitive lap time here. It's looked very smooth and very... well, he hasn't had any problems on the lap so far. Just to get this section correct, and then it should be smooth sailing to the line. Oh, he's gone in. And ECL Freaky Fast has set the fastest lap. Can anyone set a faster time in this early part of the section? I'm sure the track will ramp up and times will start to come down, as we're on board with Ice Chalik 004 in the Alpine, as the Repaz sets the fastest lap so far, a full 1.3 seconds faster than Freaky Fast. So did Freaky Fast make a mistake, or was it just not a very competitive lap time, or is he on a different tyre? As HSN, wow, he hasn't set a very competitive lap time, must have backed off there. And here we see Ice Shalik go 8 tenths slower, but that's a pretty competitive lap time, it would seem, so far, although there's only been 4 people who have set lap times. So the repairs so far in P1, 2/10 from Milan in second and Diamamo in third, who is another 6/10 back. Just scrolling through the drivers to see if anyone's on a quick lap time. Uriel Tesla is just starting a lap, so we'll ride on board with him. He is second in the championship, 7 points behind the leader, who is Jensen. Seems to have had a pretty solid season so far, although has had a DNF this season. And that DNF came in Italy just a few rounds ago. So, yeah, he might want to get a good qualifying result and a good race result here for his championship charge. As if he wins this race and Jensen comes second, they will be equal in points, providing neither of them get fastest lap. They will go equal points into the next race and the final race in Brazil, which is akin to real life Formula 1 at the moment. Uriel Tesla there, really using the curbs and using all the track on the exit. Shortest run to the line. And the lap time hasn't flashed up. Was that invalidated then? It might have been. As we see Charles 16 going into the pits. Here, Tim, and he goes third. Pretty competitive lap time there from Tim. I do apologise in advance if I'm a bit stuttery and I get these names wrong. It is my first time being a main commentator. On board with URL Harry. Really using the width of the track on the exit there. Opens DRS and now is plunging down to turn 4 here at Mexico. Brakes pretty late and gets the car turned in pretty well. And for the next part, hits both apexes of the corner. Drivers can take different lines through that corner and have similar results. So we'll see how different drivers take that corner, and this section is really fast. Got to make sure not to go over the track limits there, otherwise you will get your your lap time invalidated. Through the famous stadium part, the old baseball stadium part here at Mexico, and going into the final corner gets a pretty smooth exit, going on board for the run to the line, and he goes fastest by 0.02 of a second. URL Harry. Here we're on board with the McLaren of Dixie. Really turning in well to that first part of this really flat out section. And I think he has backed off, and I believe he has, yes. On board with Jensen here, our championship leader. Braking really late into that first corner, getting a good line through the first few corners and plummeting down again to turn 4. Let's see how he goes through this section of the track. He really uses all the road there and a little bit more even, but it doesn't seem like he's been invalidated coming into this last part. Brakes nice and late, gets the car turned in, use all the width on the outside and into the stadium section. Nice and clean through there, no twitching of the rear end. Going for the shortest run to the line here, and he goes fastest. And his championship rival in URL Tesla is down in 16th, although he hasn't set a lap time yet. And as we ride on board with him now, cutting to the wide shot, and he gets a bit squirmy on the exit there. Coming into the flat out section yet again. These drivers are really wringing the neck out of the cars through this section. Heavy braking into the stadium section, using all the track yet again for these drivers. Shortest run to the line, and 5th, 3/10 off Jensen, his championship rival. And here we ride on with F1 Zam. As Charles there has retired from the session. Maybe he's just saving a set of tyres, or maybe he's made a mistake somewhere. But there is a yellow flag in sector 3. Coming through the stadium section now, and we cut off to his McLaren teammate coming out the pits. We are going to cut back though. Shortest run to the line for Zam here, and only 13. That is a whole 1.3 seconds off the current provisional pole lap by Jensen. We're going to go back to Danny here. On board with ECL_freaky fast. Let's see if this lap is indeed freaky fast. Oh, was that a little bit of a corner cut there? I think it was, and they might have had his lap time invalidated. That is unfortunate, as it might have improved his position, and there's not much time left in the session, but I believe he will have time to go again. And here we see Jensen on his lap yet again, and I think he's gone faster in the first sector than he has gone before. Really late turn in there for that first corner of this section. Really using all the track yet again. The top drivers seem to be using a lot more track than some of the drivers lower down the field. And we're going to cut on board for the run to the line. He takes the shortest route yet again, and we're into the 1:13s. Here we go. We're on board with Cameron on his lap. I believe he is gonna finish it, but not very competitively. On board with URL Harry in the second place. Can he challenge Jensen? Harry not having a very festive season. He's only had one victory this year, or this season, and it came in the last round in Japan. So we cut to Milan here, setting up for his last flying lap attempt, I do believe. And here we go. Using all the track on the way into turn one there. Going over the curbs, you lose him a little bit of lap time there. Going to the right hand side before flicking in to the left for the turn 4 here, and then turn 5. Very smooth on the traction there. And this double apex corner going down into the flat out section. It's not quite flat out, but it is very fast indeed. This corner you can take a lot of liberties, but not too much, because if you go wide you will get your lap time invalidated here. This is turning out to be a pretty solid lap so far. I would not be surprised if this puts him higher up the order. And it puts him second, only a 10th off Jensen. Or less than a 10th even. And those drivers using all the road and more there, but they are coming into the pit lane. I believe all the drivers are coming into the pit lane now. As there's a yellow flag in Sector 2 and Sector 3. I believe that's just cars slowing for their fast laps, or preparing for their fast laps even.
OG. For your information.
So at the end of the session there, Jensen pulls out the Stormer of a lap, the only one in the 13s, where the Reapers and TFL Davey get 5-place grid penalties, presumably for causing incidents as everyone was bunched up around the track here in Mexico. So yeah. I'm going to look at the race director for those incidents here. As we cut away. I do need to apologise for my PlayStation being very loud. There's nothing I can do about that. The fan is a bit messed up at the moment, so yeah, apologies. So start of the formation lap here. Harry in P3 could be in a good position for turn 1 due to that slipstream being very, very useful here at Mexico. Although it may favour people even behind that, like Danny there in P4 or even Dominio in P5. And Milan seems to be driving on the grass there. That's not a strategy that is common in league racing, so maybe you know something that all the other drivers doesn't. Don't. So lining up in the front row is Jensen and Milan. Who will brake latest and who will get off the line better? Because that could decide the whole outcome in the race. And if there's an incident, that could throw a spanner in the works, especially for Jensen, because he cannot afford any incidents as he is has a 7-point lead going into the penultimate round here, and it could swing either way. Championship rival though, down in 7th, Urel Tesla, so he does have the starting position. And here we go, 5 red lights, and they are off, and Milan seems to have got the better launch of the two as they plummet down to turn 1 with this long run as they disappear from camera shot there. We're going to cut to Jensen on board here. And down the inside goes Danny. And there's a bit of banging of wheels, and Danny loses the rear end. And side by side with Dominio and Milan going into turn 4 here. It's almost 3 abreast. It's almost 4 abreast going down into turn 4 there. As they're side by side. Milan gets the better drive out the corner and manages to stick it in P3. But Jensen couldn't have hoped for a better start there. Although Danny is trailing closely behind. So as we're going to cut to Jensen himself, he's had a very, very good start here, but Danny is right there with him, and if he can stay within that range until lap 3, he can get within DRS and possibly pass. Very smooth exit there as he sets the fastest lap, although it is the first lap, as Milan in the background is trying to break the slipstream already from Damiano. I do apologise for these names I am butchering. It is a difficulty of mine, as he is very close behind Milan here, but not close enough. Will he try a dive? Will he risk it? Can he risk it? I don't believe he can. Checking in on the other championship contender, URL Tesla here. 7 points behind Jensen. Had a great first half of the season, but just hasn't been there in recent races in regards to his positions to challenge Jensen. And he has had a DNF at the Italian Grand Prix, which really might affect this championship. Although, in the first half of the season, Jensen did have 3 DNFs of his own. So we cut to Jensen on board here. The cut behind to Danny. Is he close enough with that slipstream? And he sets the fastest lap. But is he just using a little bit too much of his battery already just to keep with him? Or is he going to play it tactically? Here we have Damiano. Will he go for it here? This beautiful nose cone shot cuts away to the normal broadcast camera angle, as DRS has been enabled this lap, but I don't think Damiano has it as of yet. And you can see the 2 Ferraris very close behind Damiano. I believe Damiano will be able to shape up a move if he stays within DRS range here, if he doesn't make a mistake. But Danny is also very close to the leader, Jensen. We might have to check up on that as well, as slipstream is very powerful here, but the DRS really does make a difference. And here we see Damiano with the rear wing popping open and breezing past Milan there. So we're going to cut to the front too. Jensen is really under pressure from Danny here. I think he might have to go defensive. No, Danny is not close enough. But will he go for a dive, as Zam has retired from the session? I am not sure if that's a crash, but I believe on the track map there, his icon is saying that he's retired in the pit lane. Jensen is coping with the pressure though, not just in the championship battle, but here in this very moment. But I think Danny might be close enough to shape up a move into turn 1 if he can keep it on the track through this section. There's so many battles here at the moment, I don't know which to switch to. I'm going to ride on board with Danny here. As Damiano sets the fastest lap after passing Milan. Here comes Danny. And in the end it was a pretty easy move. But no, it's not, because Jensen's still there. No. Backs off. Will Jensen be able to fight back? What was Danny doing there? Was he warming his tyres? Was he trying to break the slipstream? That was quite aggressive weaving from him there. But No, he's following closely behind Danny here is Jensen. So, and we could see Damiano close up to these two. And Jensen only really needs to finish ahead of his title rival here. He doesn't need to risk anything, because he can't afford a crash at this point in the season with so much on the line. Gonna ride on board with Jensen here. He seems to get a slightly better exit than Danny there. And he is within DRS range. Will Danny go defensive? He has. And Danny slots in back behind the championship leader. Danny not getting the run because Jensen does have DRS in fact. There is a bit of a train forming, well not forming, still behind Damiano. He hasn't managed to break away despite, and Charles there getting a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's not good for him. But as I was saying, Damiano hasn't been able to break away, and he's just got a 3-second time penalty, presumably for track limits there. So he needs to try and break away and at least get a 3-second buffer. He can't afford that penalty this early on in the race. But there's a lot of cars in a line here, not being able to really break the DRS train here. And Danny also got a penalty that I didn't notice. That is crucial for the outcome of this race. On board with Tesla, he is actually quite close behind Milan, but I think they both will have DRS, so he won't be able to really shape up a move because the slipstream is quite powerful here, but the straight just isn't long enough for him. He is getting quite close there through those first couple of left and rights. But no, he's just ultimately not close enough, and because Milan has DRS as well. But Milan does have a little bit of a lock up there. Maybe feeling the pressure from behind, as Hazak has got a 3-second time penalty. He's down in 17th, so I'm afraid that won't make much of a difference in this race unless something crazy happens. But yeah, this battle here from 4th down to, I'd say, down to like 8th and 9th is really hotting up. Any of these drivers could take advantage of from an undercut or just an incident ahead maybe. So we're going to cut to the Repaz really closely behind his teammate, perhaps not wanting to pass as Milan goes into the pit lane there. But as I was saying, the Repaz might not want to go for his teammate, even though he is, because his teammate's in the championship fight. They are going to go side by side. No, they're not, because the Repaz has just gone and clean round the outside of his teammate with the over speed. Gets a bit of oversteer on the exit as Hemi gets a penalty. He is currently in 9th, so that's going to cost him as he isn't at the back of this train, and it's going to mean he can take less of an advantage out of mistakes from ahead. Danny is still quite close behind Jensen, but Jensen has not got a penalty, so Jensen is in the box seat at the moment. And I do apologise, I said Damiano had a penalty earlier. That might have just been a graphical glitch, or I'm misseeing. It is Danny that has the penalty. As Charles there retires, not been a good race for him. He will want to forget this race. And these front two are figuratively miles ahead of the rest of the pack. It was a very good start from both of them. We are going to see what Milan is going to do, because he could get an undercut, and I'm not sure if it's going to be a one-stop or two-stop here. I presume because of how early they went, it might be a two-stop, but you never know. Some of these drivers are very talented and can take these tyres a long way. So this could be a big undercut attempt from Milan, because he did get passed by Damiano earlier in the race. As the Repaz gets a 3-second time penalty, presumably again for track limits violations. That is not good for his race, considering he is so far up the order. And he's closing in on Damiano, who hasn't got a penalty, and as unlike what I said, but yeah, he is, so he will have to break that 3-second gap to Damiano if he does want to make that bit of a difference. Damiano there, weaving. And we're going to go on board in the back camera angle of Damiano. Will he? He does seem to get a pretty good exit, but here's where the Repaz does get the DRS, but he hasn't gone to get the slipstream. And as Jesper there gets a 3-second time penalty, again presumably for corner cutting. I can't think of anything else that these drivers will be getting themselves into, as Milan gets another penalty there. That's really not what he wants if he's trying to undercut these cars. He'll have to undercut them +6 if he'll want to finish ahead of them at this rate. As Tesla there, the main championship rival, or Jensen, who hasn't got any penalties, has got himself a penalty that could be crucial in the championship battle. Although it does seem a lot of people around him now are getting penalties. And the Repaz here is a lot closer. And he just breezes past Damiano, who is going to try and get the slipstream and follow him, but he's not going to try and get a move, as Danny gets another penalty. That's 6 seconds worth of penalties for him so far. Really not what he wants, considering he is fighting for this win and lead. And he's right behind Jensen. So maybe he just wants to get on with it now, because he's got so many penalties. Maybe try and extend that gap, as the others around him, I believe, are actually closing in on these front two. Oh, as Danny makes a big mistake there. He loses and he hits the styrofoam there. Oh, that he could be damaged from that. I don't think that is a costly mistake, as now the Repaz behind is not too far, and he will be licking his lips at the opportunity, and especially if Danny got damage from that. He has also lost DRS, so maybe that was the only thing really keeping him range of Jensen. I don't think it was, but it could hinder him closing up and making an overtake. It's freaking fast, gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It's not what you really want at this stage of the race, as Damiano is right behind Repaz. I thought he got past. I thought I saw that on my screen, but no. Jesper getting another penalty. These drivers are really racking up the penalties as Danny goes very wide. Maybe feeling from the pressure. And he gets another penalty. And maybe he's feeling the pressure from behind or even in front. After that mistake, he will be pushing a bit harder just to try and close up again. And maybe that's forcing him into mistakes. Overdriving the car, if you will. As the Repaz now is within DRS range. He's very close. I think Danny might pop into the pits here. No, he hasn't. To try and get the undercut, which he didn't go for. So we're going to ride on board with the Repaz I don't think he's quite close enough yet, even though the closing speed does look quite a lot. Is he going to go for a dive? I don't believe he is. Cutting back to Danny here in the front of this battle. And the Repaz there has got a very good exit, but he's just not quite close enough. Is he going to go for a dive? No, he's not. As Davey there gets a 3-second time penalty. The drivers really need to sort out their cleanliness in this race. Jensen being the only one of the drivers running so far with no penalty. He's been on a league of his own this race. You know, putting up with the pressure from Danny early on and now pulling away and getting no penalties. And why did Danny let him through there? Was that a tactical move to get DRS? As Danny and Damiano get very close on, I think they touched there. I do not know why Danny let him through. I would assume it's for the DRS. But it let Damiano get a sniff of an opportunity and he took it. And now he's going to have to work for that position back. He does seem to have very good straight line speed though, does Danny. He's closed up massively on that straight. And that is maybe why Repaz could not get past earlier on. Right on board with Danny. And he's closing quite a bit, but yet again the straight is just not long enough here. And I thought he was going to go into the back of Repaz. And he goes off track. Presumably as a mistake. I don't think he was trying to gain an advantage by that. But he actually lost time there ahead. As we're going to go cut back into the Repaz here. Front. I think he's got a solid enough gap to not be under threat. So, Clarkey here. Behind Davey. Both on the medium tyres, I believe. Yeah, they are indeed both on the medium tyres. As Davey here pulls into the pits, and I believe Danny ahead has, so that leaves the Repaz out in front as Jensen comes out in third. Oh no, he doesn't. He comes out in fourth behind Milan. So he did make the undercut work there. So he does have a net lead of this race, but will he be able to keep Jensen behind? Jensen now has closed up massively on Milan already. So Jensen is not going to give up this race lead easily. But I do expect a fight from Milan nonetheless. Yeah, I'm going to cut to on board with Jensen in the slipstream. He's got the DRS. Closing significantly. Will he be able to shape a move around the outside going into the corner as there Milan let him past? Or didn't put much of a fight even. I don't think he just let him pass like that. But yeah, I think Jensen's just been in another league this race and has more pace than anyone else out there. And that is why he is leading the championship. There's 5.5 seconds to his Williams teammate, Davey, who I don't think's made a stop yet. So So perhaps team orders will come in there, even though I don't think they will. I don't think there's any team orders in this league. Tesla on the soft tyres though, looking very feisty there. I think he'll be able to close on the two ahead of him. Is that an alternate strategy from him then? As we're just under halfway through this race. It's been a bit of a slow burner. I'm sure it will get more interesting, even though that's not to say we haven't had any action. But I think the alternate strategies and different driving styles will come to fruition later on in this race. Although Tesla isn't making the gains I thought he would, as Jensen is closing on his teammate, but like I said, I don't believe Davey has made a pit stop as of yet. He is of course required to because of the rules of the F1 Championship and therefore this game. Although he is within DRS range now of Milan. And if he gets good drive, he could be within a challenging position by the end of the straight. I don't think he will be. I don't think the closing speed is enough. But maybe down into turn 4 he could have a run. Although he seems to be closing quite a lot, but the straight just isn't long enough here. And Milan has a bit of a lockup. He has been on those tyres significantly longer, or 5 laps longer, although they should not wear as quickly as the softs that Tesla is on. Is he going to go for a dive? No, he's still in the title fight. He can't afford a dive like that. I believe he'll have to make another stop though. I don't see him taking these tyres all the way to the end, as a multitude of penalties is coming through now for track limits violations. Jensen the only one yet again, or still, although the Mercedes at the bottom there of Haskak, again sorry for butchering the name, hasn't got it I believe, although that could be covered by the pit sign, which it is. So yeah, Jensen the only one without penalties, and here we go. Uriel Tesla behind IFR Milan, and now ahead of IFR Milan. Going to use those soft tyres to close up on his championship rival. Jensen ahead, but will he be able to? And let's hope these two can keep it clean. As Danny goes for a move there on Milan, muscles his way through, but Milan's not giving up there. And Danny muscles his way through. Very good from him there. Jensen is closing up on his teammate. He wants to dispatch of him as fast as possible. I'm sure he doesn't want to get held up and become in reach of his championship rival Tesla on the quicker tyres, although it isn't much gaining, and his teammate does let him through. I'm sure that's a bit of team orders there. He did slow up quite a bit there, did Davey, though. So he might not be able to put up much of a fight to Tesla. We're going to stay on board. We've been staying on board with this front to mid-pack most of the time because they seem to be the closest out of the lot. As the Reaper sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:16.8 so far, as Clarkey gets a penalty for, presumably again, track limits violations, as it's very easy to get ones around this track, particularly through this section, as Tesla's getting very close now to the teammate of his championship rival, as Danny gets another penalty. Not news he wanted to hear. As Danny's on the outside of Tesla, going for the move there. He's going to dive up the inside. But is Tesla going to hold it there? Oh, they make a little bit of contact there. It's kept very clean though, despite the bit of contact. And now it's a straight up drag race between the three of them, with Danny in the slipstream. Him and Tesla getting DRS as Danny goes past the both of them. Really making a bold statement on this race. He's not giving up. He wants to win this race. As Davey did do his job, he held up Tesla, the championship rival of his teammate. And now is getting a bit swarmed as Milan passes him there. That was a brilliant bit of racing there between them. Danny was very opportunistic there. Only 9th in the championship so far. So this pace is very good for him. He should be hopeful. Maybe he can, you know, get more out of this championship in these last two races. There's a yellow flag in sector 3. And I believe Clarkey has hit the wall or something. You can see just about there. I'll cut to the onboard here of Jesper to see what's happened through there. Can you see? Can we see? No, we can't. I believe that it must have the game must have taken his car off the track by that point. But yeah, that is unfortunate for Clarkey, but presumably he did make a mistake, so it's his own fault. Tesla diving into the pits for mediums, presumably to go to the end. And yeah, so he's in 10th. But will the others around him have to make another stop as well? More time penalties coming in for players here. And Tesla gets another 3-second penalty. Not what he wanted at all. Going to cut to the race leader, the man who has dominated this race so far, with a little bit of pressure from Danny behind, but it's just been smooth sailing. He's kept calm under the pressure from behind, and he's doing all he needs to wrap up this championship. And as it stands, he would have had won the championship if the positions stay like this. I don't think they will. I think Tesla will have some very good pace to extract from himself, but you never know. This could be the final order if Tesla isn't able to pass these cars, although there is an Aston Martin who is dropping down positions here. I believe Tim there made a little bit of a mistake. Sorry for not capturing it there. But he's now under pressure from the Mercedes. As he's pulled over, is he going to retire from the race? I don't think he will. Well, maybe, perhaps he might have damage and need to go into the pits. Yes, he does. Right. So we're going to cut back, to this bit of action between Hemi and Chalik, or Chaik. Still don't know how to pronounce the name, and again, apologies. As Jesper gets the penalty there. But as it stands, Jensen would be your URL Division 1 Season 3 champion. But everything could change, because I believe a lot of the guys ahead are on much older tyres. So staying with Chalik here, because he is still within DRS range, and it could make a difference as Davey there gets another penalty. These drivers are really not staying within track bounds. I know it's very strict here, but the rules are there for a reason, because it does gain you advantage, and Danny is closing in on Jensen. That could be what Tesla wants to hear there. As Danny gets a penalty, that's what he doesn't want to hear, and possibly Tesla as well, because Tesla wants him to pass Jensen and extend that gap, and he's got a multitude of penalties, and even if he passes him, I doubt he'll be able to extend the gap enough to win this race with penalties applied. Unlike real life, the drivers here are able to follow, so it does create some bit of action and a lot of good racing in this game. The drivers will have to adapt for their handling model that has been updated a few times on this game through the game cycle, as well as very different to last year when, for example, I was racing, as they both here, third and fourth, pull into the pits. So we're going to cut away and go to Damiano. As I was saying, the handling model here has a lot more understeer, and it's a lot more difficult to drive on the edge, so some of these drivers might attribute the understeer and over driving to their penalties, even though they have had a lot of time in the game cycle to adapt to it, as Tim has got another penalty, as well as the fastest lap there being set by Milan, who is on fresh soft tyres. Milan really being able to undercut these people ahead of him. But it's just been smooth sailing for the two in front, really. Well, smooth sailing. It really hasn't, as Danny is closing up on Jensen. As Jesper there retiring from the session. He hasn't had a good race anyway, so it won't make a big difference to the outcome of this top battle that we are currently watch unfold. Green flag's been shown there by the in-game marshal. Gonna cut away to TFL Davey, on board with him. He is right behind Milan though. Davey making that one stop work for him. I assume he's gonna go to the end on these tyres. Is Milan gonna go defensive? They touch a little bit. That might just be a bit of the lag we experience here as the spectator. As he goes off the track by a country mile, gets the penalty, and Damiano also gets the penalty, as Danny gets another penalty, despite being really close to Jensen ahead now, being within DRS ranges. On board with Davey here, just makes a tiny bit of a lock up there, the front right tyre under rotating. As Davey goes miles off the track there. Will that have gained him an advantage though? I don't think so, because he was not the optimal line. He was using, and he was far off the track, so I don't think he would have gained an advantage from it. Now riding on board with him. Gonna cut to Milan to see the view from the back here. And Davey gets past, but Milan isn't going to give up easily, is he? Will he go for a dive? No. All these drivers being very sensible here. Obviously good for them, but it doesn't create the best racing as Davey goes off the track again at the same point as last lap. Or one of the same points. He went off multiple times last lap. But yeah, it's quite close between the midfield here and the top end of the midfield. We've had a lot of retirements thus far, but there's not much left in the race to go. So I assume, and there's less cars to have contact with. So, but will the stamina and the lack of concentration get to these drivers because of racing for now 29 laps and qualifying? But Milan, the one going off circuit there. We are going to cut on board to him. This is Yellow Fad in sector 3. Yorel Tesla's made a mistake, and that's crucial for the championship battle. He's let his teammate through there, presumably not to hold him up. But what the hell went on there? Oh, and he spun into the pit lane. And he might have damaged his rear wing there. Not good. He's out of the points. This means Jensen could wrap up the championship here. As Danny gets another penalty. What is it with Danny in penalties? As Hemi here, behind the scrapping pair of Milan and Davey. As they both go off the track by miles. What is going on here? Is that the fastest route? Surely it's not the most legal route. As the Ricos there gets a penalty. There's been a lot of penalties here today, as I've already stated. But the drivers really do need to keep it in bounds, because they could capitalise on having less penalties than those around them. And Hemi just... Are they having a little DRS scrap here? As there's a safety car actually. Why would that be? I believe it's because of the DNF for Tim. Sorry, I didn't catch that straight away. But this could throw in a spanner in the works, as Jensen has got his first penalty there. We are just gonna check actually the penalties that these drivers have. Tesla goes on to the mediums there. Yeah, 24 seconds of penalty for Danny. This safety car really isn't what he needed, because that's going to bunch everyone up, and his only real hope is to get past Jensen there, who is in the pits presumably for soft tyres. As well as Danny being in the pits. And Damiano. The safety car is gonna bunch up the pack here, and this could create a dramatic last few laps, depending on when the safety car pulls in. This is a great camera angle here, showing the cars in glorious detail, as well as just showing the scenery around the Mexican GP here. This could have saved Tesla, as he will come to the back of this pack. But as it stands, Jensen would be champion. He needs to outscore Tesla by 19 points, and at the moment that is exactly what he is doing. He is outscoring Tesla by a significant amount. Both have been very consistent throughout the year, although Tesla in Austria did get a 10th place. There's no dropped rounds, there's no nothing like in karting or in the days of the old F1 championship back in the 80s and 70s, where there was dropped rounds, where you could drop your worst result. There's nothing like that here. You have to be consistent over a season, as Damiano and Hazak there have both got penalties for severe collisions with other drivers. This safety car could make it for an intense last few laps here. So don't go anywhere if you're watching the stream. I'm sounding like an old football commentator, but this is going to get quite good. All Jensen really needs to do is stay ahead of these guys, or even just stay within range as they get past him, because he has got less penalties than all of them. Safety car in this lap, so we're going to have Jensen backing them all up. He needs to make sure not to overtake the safety car. As Jensen goes now, followed by Danny. Danny's got a very good slipstream and he's very close behind. Jensen weaving to get temperature in his tyres and to break the slipstream at the same time. As we have side-by-side action with Harry here, as there's a ghost car of the other Mercedes there. Milan and Davey get very close, and there's Davey going into the wall. Davey's got a 3-second time penalty, presumably again for track limits. These guys cannot afford at this stage of the race, when everyone is so bunched up together. Jensen was able to hold his nerve though and subdue that attack from Danny. Tesla currently isn't doing enough, although Damiano does have the most penalties out of anyone, with 26 seconds worth. Danny will drop down quite a few positions as well, due to the amount of time penalties he has. Davey has now retired. I think he retired a bit earlier, but I didn't notice. Apologies for that. But all Jensen really needs to do is bring it home. Because as it stands, he will be champion. As Danny gets another penalty, bringing him up to 27 seconds worth. So will he just do it for pride? As Damiano, it looks like these two are having a bit of a competition there. Who can get the most penalties? Danny sets the fastest lap, and gets the extra point for that. It won't matter because he's got so much penalties. As Damiano now gets 34 seconds worth of penalties. Will the Ferrari boys let each other, will Repaz let Tesla by? Because at the moment Tesla is not doing enough for the championship. And Danny's been disqualified for corner cutting too much. So I think Danny's won that competition there. So that leaves a massive gap for Jensen to just enjoy this last lap here. So we're going to ride on board with him for this last lap. He's been so consistent this race, and it seems throughout the season. So currently, as it stands, Jensen will be champion by, if it stands like this. And the fireworks going off there in the stadium section. He rounds the final corner and he wins the Mexican Grand Prix for URL Division 1 Season 3 Round 11. And Tesla just saves his championship chances there. I believe he's just saved his championship chances there. At the line. He needed to outscore Tesla by 19 points. He got exactly 19 points more. There you have your race result. Jensen finishing first and his championship rival finishing 7th. So there you go. That's 25 points for Jensen because I don't think he got the fastest lap because Danny did. So this championship still might be able to go to Tesla if all goes his way, but I'm not entirely sure. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jensen has wrapped up the championship. Forgive me if I am wrong, but I believe, just doing the calculations here in my head, that he has wrapped up the championship as he has 3 wins, 4 now this season. Tesla only has 2. So Tesla can only achieve another one, and being equal on point going into the last race, or having 25 points less, sorry, he may be able to match him on points, but on countback Jensen has won. Anyway, thank you very much for watching the race, and yeah, see you next time for Brazil.